It's All Things Considered, member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We are thrilled to present a conversation that we recorded recently with Jose Feliciano in the islands for shows Sunday and Monday, 6:30 and 9 each night at the Blue Note. Guy who has surpassed being born with glaucoma and blindness to become one of the greatest musicians of our time. You may have heard a little excerpt we ran a couple weeks ago. We'll have the complete conversation posted online at hawaiipublicradio.org. But here are some choice highlights now as we welcome Jose Feliciano to All Things Considered on HPR.
So, it's Dave?
It is, Dave Lawrence.
Dave's not here.
How you doing, brother? Great to be talking to you.
Hey, good to be talking to you, man. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Finally be talking to you. This is nice.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
And how you feeling over there?
Well, usually I tell people I'm feeling with my hands. But no, I'm feeling good, Dave. I've been playing in Hawaii for many years.
We have a listener, Steve, the mystery emailer, and he sends all kinds of little tidbits from the past. We'll see if any of it sparks memories.
Sure.
Your very first gigs, according to Steve, March 21st and 22nd, 1969, 2 nights at the Blaisdell Arena. You were the musical entertainment for the 17th Annual Cherry Blossom Festival.
Oh, sure.
15-song set that began with High Heel Sneakers and ended with Light My Fire. Opening act, a comedian named Don Sherman. And get this, Jose,
Sure.
take a listen to these ticket prices. This is always my favorite part of these. The most expensive seats were $550, and then the cheapest was $250.
Oh, my goodness. Well, here's another story for you. Don Sherman was the guy that played the bartender in Rocky.
In the very first Rocky.
In the first Rocky.
December 1st through the 5th, 1970, you performed for 5 nights at a place called the Polynesian Palace.
I remember that.
During that run, Santana was playing at the Blaisdell Arena. At one point during the show, you got up on stage and jammed with Santana.
I did, and it was the most exciting day in my life to jam with Carlos. We're still good friends after all these years.
Was that the first time you jammed with him?
Yes, it was.
And did you keep coming through the years? Waikiki Shell 72 is the only other one I've got.
Yeah. And then I used to come to Hana Ranch.
And you'd stay over there too, huh?
I'd stay over there. I enjoyed it.
And I bet you did. There's so much of a similarity in some ways to where you grew up in Puerto Rico. And on that note, if you could shed some light on to how it was that with so many siblings and the adversity that you had, you end up gravitating to music, developing this just stunning gift.
I wish I could answer that for you, but the only thing I can say was God's blessings and gifts that He bestowed on me. Because in the beginning of my life, I had the worst deck of cards you can imagine.
Right.
I was born in poverty in Puerto Rico. I was also born with glaucoma. So there was no hope of me having any vision, but I do have, and I did have vision, because vision isn't only what you see, it's what you feel, it's how you are inside. Those are the things that I say make a great visionary.
I don't know how many other people have written a song like No Dogs Allowed, an extremely touching story of Trudy. Can you tell that story?
Well, I had decided to go to England on vacation in 1967 with the dream of maybe meeting the Beatles. I was with an agency. They introduced me to people. I met everybody but the Beatles. I met the Animals. I met the Hollies. I met Dusty Springfield. I did her television show. I met Tom Jones.
And you met Jimi Hendrix, too, right, at the Speakeasy?
I met Jimi Hendrix, but I didn't meet the Beatles. I met the Beatles back in California, of all places. I really enjoyed my little trip to England. But No Dogs Allowed, I wrote out of that vacation. I landed at London's Heathrow Airport, and they tried to take my dog from me.
Trudy, Jose's seeing eye dog.
I had to leave my dog in quarantine, and it was awful. My dog is a highly trained dog, and I could get nowhere with the authority in England.
Do you still have a dog to aid you?
No, I don't. I have seeing eye humans.
Right.
But you could never take away from the great work that those dogs do. I mean, They are amazing animals.
And on that note of gifts, that's one of the things you bring to the table. You're singing, you're playing. And let's talk about the playing for a moment. Again, this is Jose Feliciano. He's one of the most gifted guitar players alive. When you hear this man play the guitar, it will really boggle your mind, especially because he will interpret other people's music. Billie Jean, for example, from Michael Jackson. That arrangement, to have the song start the way it does, and you build it up with the guitar and build it up and personalize it and do what would be these vocal passages, but you're playing them on the guitar. And then finally, you just unload with the actual vocals. When I hear that version, which is such a creative interpretation of that song. Talk about your finger picking, and do you ever use a pick, or everything is done with your fingers?
I do use a pick on some things. You know, I was trained classically by a dear friend, Harold Morris, at the Lighthouse for the Blind in New York City. I just put my classical training to what I play. It gives me the technique, speed. It's just a part of me. You know, it's like a suit of clothes. I put it on and it fits.
That's a great way of describing it. You mentioned the Beatles. Some of the most incredible recordings this guy has been part of, whether he's been on TV playing with people, whether he's been on record, seen the photos of you with Paul. But I also read that you recorded with John Lennon, too.
I did. I recorded when John Lennon was on his wild weekend when Yoko said, listen, you know, I've had enough of your jargon. See you later. John Lennon was always cloudy. He drank too much. Everything he did too much. But the one thing he didn't do enough was keep writing great songs.
You also did a lot of television over the years, acting kinds of roles at times, but also playing alongside people like Johnny Cash, Bing Crosby, Glenn Campbell, Diana Ross,
Andy Williams, Dionne Warwick, who's still alive, thank God. I also enjoyed Les Paul.
And you got to be close friends with him?
I did, and I loved him very much.
You hook up with him during his weekly gigs at the Iridium in New York?
I met him at the Iridium, yep. And, of course, I enjoyed the jam session I had with Glenn Campbell on my Feliciano Very Special. It made me very sad when I first heard that Glenn had Alzheimer's. That's a terrible, terrible disease. It's as important as curing cancer. I pray to God every day that I don't have any signs of that. I have a very good memory. I remember so many things, so I know I'm safe for now. What did I just tell you?
You're a funny dude. And with that wit, it makes me wonder, is that how you ended up doing TV shows and movies, stuff like Kung Fu, for example?
I had a very good agent at the time, and he got me on the series.
Fargo, you're in that?
Yes, I was. I did a song that I wrote in the movie. I always wanted to play a part of a blind person, to have a real blind person play it.
Right.
The other audacity that I had was I also wanted to play the part of a sighted person, because I know the gestures of sighted people. I could see it now. And the Academy Award for Best Actor in a movie, Jose Feliciano. You can dream anyway.
I love it, though, brother. That's a great dream.
This whole life of mine has been a dream.
And as we wrap it up, give a plug for the new record, the book, all the activity coming in the fall.
I want people to know that I have an album coming out in the fall, and I also have a book which was written by my wife. It's called The Jose Feliciano Story. Oh, you still don't know what it is? Well,
you're working on it. Title to be determined.
As told to Susan Feliciano.
And there was a documentary I thought you mentioned too, yeah?
Yes, there's a documentary coming.
Is that also in the fall?
In the fall.
You are the man, Jose.
All right, buddy.
Hope you had fun today. I really enjoyed.
I did. I enjoyed talking to you.
Giving you a huge hug and a high five.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Same here.
tell you, hey, that kitty ain't my son. Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a woman claiming that I am the one. Let me tell you, hey, that kitty ain't my son. My mama, she once told me, be careful who you love. Don't go breaking French women's hearts. But mama never told me what I'd have to do. Mama never knew the things that I went through. Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.